Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Today's lecture is about again S and P elements. How these alkali metals react with the oxygen. As you know, the alkali metals are lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium, and when they will react with oxygen, different type of oxides will be formed. Just like when lithium react with oxygen, lithium oxide is formed. This lithium oxide is the normal oxide. When sodium will react with oxygen, peroxide is formed. Sodium peroxide will be formed. And when potassium, rubidium, cesium, they will react with oxygen, superoxides will be formed. So different type of oxides are formed by reacting with these alkali metals, and they are the normal oxide, peroxide and superoxide. Now what is the difference between these normal, per and superoxides? There is the difference of the oxidation number in them. You can see here the lithium carry the charge of the +2, as there are the two atoms of the lithium, while oxygen is carrying the oxidation number of the -2 in the normal oxides. And when we consider the oxidation states of this sodium and oxygen in peroxides, these sodium atoms, two sodium atoms carrying the charge of the +2, while two oxygen atoms are carrying the charge of the -2. It means here one oxygen atom is carrying the charge of -1. In normal oxides, oxygen carry the charge of -2, and in peroxides, oxygen carry the charge of -1. And in case of the superoxides, this metal atom, whether it is a potassium, rubidium or the cesium, it carry the charge of +1. Oxidation number will be +1, while two oxygen atoms are carrying the charge of -1. It means one oxygen atom will carry the charge of -half. So in superoxides, oxygen carry the oxidation number of -half. In peroxides, oxygen carry the oxidation number of -1, and in normal oxides, oxygen carry the oxidation number of -2. Now how the normal oxides are prepared? Here the peroxide, you can see here the peroxides are formed. Sodium cannot form the peroxides. Sodium cannot form the normal oxides. Now the normal oxides of these metals can be prepared, but by the indirect method. By the direct reaction with oxygen, normal oxides are not produced. But by indirect method, normal oxides can be prepared, just like when these peroxides, they will react with the sodium, just like sodium peroxide react with the sodium, then sodium oxide, normal oxide will be formed. And in the same way, when nitrite of the sodium, they will react with the sodium, just like sodium nitrite reacting with the sodium, same metallic nitrite react with the same metal, then normal oxides are prepared. In the same way, metallic nitrate, when react with the same metal, they produce the normal oxide. So normal oxides are prepared by the indirect method. Now you can see here the reaction of the oxides with the water and dilute acid. As you have learned about the oxides, there are three type of oxides: simple oxides, peroxides and superoxides, and how these different oxides react with water and react with hydrogen chloride, with the dilute acids. What will be the product? Here you can see that when simple oxides, they react with water, then hydroxides will be produced. Just like lithium oxide react with water, lithium hydroxide will be produced. And in the same way, when simple oxides react with the dilute acid, just like hydrogen chloride, then metallic chloride, just like if lithium react with the lithium oxide react with the hydrogen chloride, then lithium chloride will be formed, and along with this chloride, water will be produced. So simple oxides react with water to produce the hydroxides and react with the dilute acids, just like the hydrogen chloride produce the metallic chloride and water. Secondly, when peroxides they react with the water, then what is the product? When any peroxide react with the water, product is the hydroxide, respective hydroxide and hydrogen peroxide. And this hydrogen peroxide it react or further decompose in water and oxygen. It is all these reactions are quite exothermic. Hydrogen peroxide produce a large amount of heat is produced, and it is quite difficult to control the amount of the heat, even if this reaction is carried out on cold ice water. Even in cold ice water, large amount of heat is produced, and hydrogen peroxide it further react with and decompose into the water and oxygen. And when these peroxides react with the hydrogen chloride, dilute acid, again metallic halides are produced along with the hydrogen peroxide. And again this hydrogen peroxide decompose into the water and oxygen. And both these reactions are quite exothermic. It is quite difficult to control the temperature even there. Even this reaction is carrying out in ice cold water. And third is the superoxides. When superoxides react with the water, the product is the hydroxide, respective hydroxides, hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. You can see here in case of the peroxides, the product is the hydroxide and the hydrogen peroxide. But in case of superoxide, when they react with water, the product is the hydroxide, hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. And again what happened, this hydrogen peroxide, due to, as I have told you, all these reactions are exothermic, and due to the increase in the temperature, this hydrogen peroxide further decompose in the water and oxygen. And when these superoxides react with the hydrogen chloride or dilute acid, what happens? The product is the metallic halide, hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. And again, being the reaction exothermic, temperature increases, and due to the increase in temperature, this hydrogen peroxide decompose into the water and oxygen. All these reactions, whether these oxides react with the water, whether this react with the hydrogen chloride, you can see all these are quite exothermic reaction. Large amount of energy is produced during this reaction. And when simple oxides react with metallic hydroxides are formed, just like lithium hydroxide or lithium chloride will be produced when these react with the hydrogen chloride. And in case of the peroxide, just like the sodium peroxide, when it will react with the water, sodium hydroxide will produce along with the hydrogen peroxide. And being the reaction exothermic, this hydrogen peroxide, due to the increase in temperature, further decompose in water and oxygen. And in the same way, when sodium peroxide, it will react with the hydrogen chloride, the product is the sodium chloride and hydrogen peroxide. And again hydrogen peroxide will decompose in the water and oxygen due to the increase in temperature. In case of the superoxide, just like the potassium superoxide, when it will react with the water, potassium hydroxide will form. Potassium hydroxide will form along with the hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. And due to the highly exothermic reaction, this hydrogen peroxide will decompose into the water and oxygen. And again, when this superoxide will react with the hydrogen chloride, just like potassium superoxide, it react with the hydrogen chloride, potassium chloride will be formed here along with the hydrogen peroxide and oxygen. And again, due to the exothermic reaction, temperature will increase and this hydrogen peroxide will decompose into the water and oxygen. All these reactions are quite exothermic. Large amount of heat is produced during the reaction. Now, how these react with the chlorine? Alkali metals react with the chlorine to give the respective chlorides. If they react with the chlorine, they will produce the chlorides, and if they react with other halogens, they will produce the respective halides. Lithium and sodium react slowly with the chlorine, and molten sodium burn with a brilliant yellow flame in the atmosphere of the chlorine to form the sodium chloride. Here you can see the reactant. When sodium react with the chlorine, sodium chloride is formed, and it will be the glowing yellow color of this sodium chloride will be produced. In the same way, potassium, rubidium, cesium, they react vigorously with all the halogens to form the respective halides. Now, what will be the effect of the heat on nitrates and carbonates? Carbonates are highly stable to the heat. It is not easy to decompose the carbonates. With the increase of the electropositive character from lithium to cesium, stability of these salt increases. As we go down the group, you know that size of the atom increases, and as the size of the atom increases, their electropositivity, ability to donate the electron, also increases. So electropositive character increases down the group, as well as the stability of these carbonates also increases down the group. Same is the case with the nitrates. Nitrates decompose on the strong heating. Large amount of energy is required for the decomposition of the nitrates of these compounds, and only the except the lithium nitrate. So lithium nitrate on heating decompose into the lithium oxide, nitrogen dioxide, and oxygen, while all other nitrates need a large amount of heat to be changed into the nitrite. Now, what is the reason that why the carbonates and nitrates are quite stable when you move down the group? We can say that as the size of the atom increases down the group, larger compounds, when we move down the group, the carbonates combined with the alkali metals, the size of these compound increases, and more amount of heat is required to decompose them as compared to the lighter compounds. Now, what is the reason behind this? Just concentrate on the structure of the carbonate. You can see here the simple structure of carbonate is given. One carbon atom is bonded to 3 other oxygen atoms, one with the double bond, and 2 bonds are quite single bonds. Now, in this case, you can see that 2 oxygen atoms are carrying the minus charge, but in fact this minus charge is quite delocalized over the carbonate. So you can say that electrons are delocalized in the carbonate. So charge density is quite high here. And what happened when a positive charge come closer to this carbonate? Any positive charge, just like any metallic ion, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, whatever. So any metallic ion, cation, will come closer to this delocalized carbonate having the delocalized electron. It come closer to this. What happened? The distortion will occur. This positive charge, it will definitely have the attraction for the electron. So as a result of this, distortion will be occur in both these ions, carbonate ions as well as in the cations. So this, due to the presence of this positive ion or the positive charge, the delocalized electrons are pulled towards this positive charge. So due to the pull of these delocalized electrons, what happened on the other side? Distortion will occur in the molecule. So this shape will be changed. Normal shape will not be consistent anymore. And what happened here? The both terminal oxygens along with this carbon, they will be released as a carbon dioxide. So the end of these oxygen atoms, being they carry as they have the minus charge over there, so they will be break away in the form of the carbon dioxide, they will get separated. And when the size of this cation is greater, as you move down the group, size of this cation increases. So when the size will increase, charge density will also decrease. So when there is less charge density down the group, distortion will not be as pronounced as in the smaller size cation. And due to this less distortion, it will not be easy to release the carbon dioxide here. It will be not be easy to break this bond. So as a result, what happened? Down the group, charge density decreases, size of the atom increases, so less distortion will occur, and this carbon dioxide cannot be easily removed. So large amount of heat will be required to decompose this carbonate. That is the reason when we move down the group, size of the compound increases and large amount of heat will be required to decompose it. And same is the case will be with the nitrates. Again, in the same strategy happened in the nitrate, and they also have the they also need the large amount of energy to decompose when we move down the group. A flame test is an analytical procedure used to detect the presence of certain metal ions based on each element characteristics emission spectrum. So some elements, they produce the characteristics flame on the when they are burned in the flame. So they have the characteristic color of the flame, and this characteristic color is used to analyze them. So flame tests are used to identify the presence of small number of metal ions in a compound, and all the metals do not give the flame test. Few metals give this test, and they can be identified by this flame test. Now what we have to do in the flame test, first of all, clean the nichrome wire. Mostly nichrome wire is used, and this nichrome is actually the alloy of the nickel and chromium. Nichrome wire is used, or platinum wire can also be used for this purpose. So it is cleaned by dipping it in the hydrochloric acid, and then it is heat on the flame, and we heat it until the wire does not produce any color on the flame. So when the wire is clean, again moisten it with some acid, and then dip it into the small amount of the solid that you want to test for the flame test, and then place this wire with a small amount of the solid on the flame, and a quite intense flame will be produced, and it will have some particular color. So from the color of the flame we can detect that this is the metal ion, or which kind of the metal ion is this. So different colors that are produced by the flame test, they are given here. Lithium produce the crimson red, sodium produce the golden yellow, potassium violet, rubidium reddish violet color, and cesium produce the blue color. In the same way, calcium produce the brick red, strontium crimson red, barium pale green or the grassy green color produce, and copper produce the blue green flame, and lead produce the grayish white. So you can see that all the alkali metals and alkaline earth metals, they give this flame test. Along with this, lead also give this flame test. Now what is the origin of this flame test, or you can say what is the principle behind this production of the flame color. So when an alkali and alkaline earth metal and any of their compound is heated, what happen when you will provide the energy to the electrons, they will excite, and they from lower energy state they will move to the higher energy state. And what happened, these electrons on de-excitation come again, they will come to their lower energy level when they will de-excite, and during this de-excitation they will release the energy that they have already absorbed from moving from lower to the higher energy level. So in the de-excitation, they release the energy in the form of the light, and it is in the visible region of the spectrum. You can see the intense color. And since the amount of the energy absorbed during the excitation process is different in different atoms, so we can see the different colors as they have absorbed different energies. So different colors will be produced on the flame. That's the message of the day.